Ken, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. This is a lovely location that you chose for your, do I call it a community? Do I call it a mastermind?
It's a mastermind, and it's a community of like-minded people that we brought to a beautiful setting here in Dubai. They say that a nice view does wonders for the mindset, right? So we decided rather than holding our events, which is about wealth creation, in an area that's going to inspire wealth. And
this is good inspiration for wealth creation,
This is crazy.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Dubai in general is good. And then this particular location on the Palm, with the villa, and then looking at everything else around, I feel it.
It's definitely got the energy, right?
Yes.
It feels great.
And the time of day is beautiful. Check this out. Good choice, man. Have you done it here before? Remind me.
This is the first time that we've run the masterminds here in Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. Yeah. This city is all about having a vision and then executing on it.
Yeah.
Which I think is we talked a little bit at Tech Tuesdays. Your evolution of yourself and your business model. It's fantastic, and I think this geography reflects it.
It's very unique, right?
Yeah.
It's such a niche subject that not many people know about. It's kind of like an untapped, hidden way of building wealth by doing things differently. As you're around there, like lots of startups and the grind, the blood, sweat, and the tears, but this is it's just a different perspective and way of doing things.
And I know you touched on it briefly on stage just a couple of days ago, but this time we're going to go deep and analytical. Are you ready?
I'm excited.
I know. This is going to be good. We're going to spread some good vibes and some good knowledge.
Definitely.
All right, everyone. This is Gordon Einstein, of course. I am here with my friend Ken Mack. Normally we do these interviews over Zoom or sometimes in a podcast studio, but this time we're doing it a little bit differently. Ken is here under circumstances he will explain. We're actually in a very nice villa on the Palm in Dubai, of course. So this is a wonderful location. So we're doing this a little differently, but roll with it. Ken, pleasure. How are you?
It's amazing to see you again.
Amazing to see you again. And actually, it's worth mentioning the last time was just Tuesday, because you're here in Dubai and with your mastermind group, you'll talk about it, and you were our guest at Dubai Tech Tuesdays, number 69, I love to point out. And we were honored to have you. You rocked the stage. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. It was a big moment for me to be part of your show. I know that you've been asking me to come, and it was nice that we could make it happen.
I've been chasing you, buddy. I've been chasing you, pursuing you. You're a hard man to reach. Hard man to nail down. You got a lot of demands.
Thank you for pushing me to come and make this happen. It was amazing. So many people, super popular event.
Thank you.
Absolutely rammed. Amazing speakers. And it was nice to speak to a community of entrepreneurs that were interested in what I had to say, because you'll be dealing with a lot of people that are in the grind in the startup phase.
Yes.
And it just takes a perception away from the grind into just a different lens and a different way of doing things, right?
It's
and
amazing.
And everybody was interested, which was nice.
Oh, the audience was engaged. So just to set the context for people who don't know you, let's kind of state it. What's your fundamental thesis? What's your fundamental idea? What are these people doing with you this week in Dubai?
So we're here in what I call the most exclusive address on the planet, the Palm Dubai, which we've rented as a beautiful villa, which is worth like 20 million, purposely so that we can set the stage for the elite inner circle members of my community, to bring them to this lovely setting so that we can mastermind and get the hive mind together collectively to discuss buying businesses, M&A, mergers and acquisitions. So this is a mastermind retreat for entrepreneurs that want to do things differently, that are looking to scale fast through acquisition and buying revenue. And I thought this would be a great spot to do it, with an amazing view of the Palm, with the private beach and the private swimming pool, so we can be more relaxed. And a mentor of mine said that a wonderful view does wonders for the mindset, and rather than being stuck in a seminar room in a hotel, this was just a different way of doing things. So far, amazing. Everybody's super happy, and we spent all night last night together, getting the hive mind together. And there was many people in this community that we run that have bought businesses, and the fun part is with no money down, which is super cool. So we all got to meet each other for the first time in person, although we've been on Zoom calls, and speak about these deals.
This is your first time in the flesh, so to speak.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's exciting.
So I've helped these guys buy businesses as early as last week, so 7-figure businesses. but I've been spending like 20, 25 weeks with them every single week on Zoom calls. Now we get to meet each other for the first time, and there's guys there that have been following me, part of my outer community since 3 years, 5 years even, and now we get to meet for the first time, and people have flown in from all over the world. From we get 2 from LA, we get Canada, Australia, UK, all over the place. So this is super nice to get everybody together and meet for the first time.
Wow, this is really great.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let me, I always say, explain to me like I'm 5 years old, but let me say what I think you do, and then you kind of tweak it. I think your fundamental thesis is that a road to wealth is not necessarily to have a startup, but to find a small to medium-sized operating business, acquire it in a certain manner, which we'll talk about, but basically LBO or zero down, and then run that business and potentially improve that business. And that's a not often used or not understood to be accessible path to wealth. Is that a fair summary, or would you change it a bit?
Yeah, so the average entrepreneur mindset, it seems to be programmed and coded in the way where it's almost assumed that the way that we do things is out of reach of the average entrepreneur. And I refer to myself as a normal everyday guy because I came from humble beginnings, and a lot of the guys that we teach as well are much of the same.
Are you Tommy Shelby? You look like him, or you sound like him.
Tommy Shelby.
Peaky Blinders.
Well, actually, you're not the first one to say that, and
now you're talking this way, so yeah.
Yeah, so I've been called other things as well, like Joe 90 and the guy from Train Spotting.
Oh, sure, okay, yeah.
But this what we do, it seems to not compute in people's minds. So that's why I've decided to do things a little bit differently, and we bought crazy companies all over the world that wouldn't compute with the average entrepreneur mindset, especially when we say that we bought them with no money down, which is fact. Now, by this, what we're doing here is a way that we can get everybody together, make nice videos and content, and show the world that, hey, these are normal people, these are everyday people that have broken free from the matrix, and now they are, like one of them still in the building site getting ready to sack his boss. On the table that we had at Tech Tuesdays, there was multiple people at your event on that table that closed 7-figure businesses, no money down. And two of the guys that were on the table, we signed the deal. I'm a partner on the acquisition. It was a £4.5 million acquisition that was signed at the bar at your event. A deal that one of the members had been working on for 1 year. He brought it to me and my business partner Paul, who acquired a business with me as well, but through the boot camp. So he's.
Can I just tell you? Let me interrupt and then I'll pass it back to you. Just let me just share. Let me emote for a second. So I'm an active businessman, as is my partner, as is the people working around us. Tech Tuesdays and things like that are 98%. Let's call it a labor of love. The small amount we get from the venue just covers our expenses. It really is for the benefit of the community. Now, of course, we get secondary effects, with popularity and connections and everything else. But when I understand the legwork for the deal was done before Tech Tuesdays. But when I hear that you did your signing there,
literally,
it gives me like the biggest dopamine rush. I don't know if you can. I'm feeling flushed. Okay, it makes me so happy that at the event we've worked so hard on, that when you're there, that you actually had a signing ceremony there. Did you take photos?
Absolutely, we got it all in
Please
video.
Share. That is so great.
The proof on the phone, so we showed on the camera that, guys, this is the deal. We're sending it live now on camera at Tech Tuesdays. Me and Paul worked on this for 3 minutes. 3 weeks. Yeah. We got the deal over the line for this member that had been working on the deal for 1 year, and he's out there after this show. I'm going to introduce you to him, and you'll meet Alex, who's amazing guy. But he brought the deal to us. We said, bro, we're going to change your life. We're going to get this deal over the line for you. He was a member of one of my old boot camps. Didn't get a deal over the line, so I wanted to kind of help the guy and make this happen for him. And this is crazy. This happened at Tech Tuesdays. So if this deal goes through, which we're sure it will do, it's going to change this guy's life. He's a procurement officer just now in Saudi Arabia and Dubai. So this is 1.2 million pounds of profit per year that this company produces. This is crazy. So this will change his life completely. Like these 3 guys that we have that I made stand up at the event as well. I said, Elliot, Jake, and Matt. 2 weeks ago, you didn't have a company. Last week, you bought this 7-figure company, no money down. This guy here, you guys, 2 of you knew each other. The other one we introduced through our community, and one of they call themselves a trio, and one of them is about to sack his boss and be free. He's working as a labourer.
Great expression, by the way.
This is crazy.
Wow. Okay, so obviously, if people want to understand the nitty gritty, they should reach out to you and become part of the mastermind. But I want to go. I want to go as deep as we can go in the time that we have.
Yeah.
So, and I also want to cover your background. But first things first. How do you identify these companies? So let's just cover that first. Short version, then of course longer version. Join your mastermind group. But like, give us a practical taste.
I like to say I'm a simple guy, so I like to just simplify things and keep things completely easy to understand. There are 2 ways that we find the deals. Number 1, of course, is the open market. So I'm sure the deal that a trio, these 3 guys found, that was through the open market. The company was for sale for 7 years. They couldn't sell it, so we bought it. The other way is that we create our own deal flow. So what we do is we go out to the market.
Sorry, pause. Open market, like where is the open market?
Yes, so we would say, okay, we want to buy manufacturing companies. Where do we start? We go to a data brokerage company.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And then we would say, okay, give us all of the manufacturing companies, just say in the UK or in the UAE, that are producing over 1 million of revenue. The parameters we're going to be asking for is the email address, the owner's name of the company, and the revenue and the address of the company. And then what we're going to do is we're going to prepare a letter. We're going to write out to all of these businesses and say, this is who we are. Have you thought about selling your business? If so, then we can provide that solution for you as a buyer. We're professional buyers, and we're looking at buying various businesses in this niche. And if that's something that you've thought about doing, then here is my contact details, or a QR code to book a meeting in my diary. And then what happens, 1 in 50 letters that we put out, we usually get 1 response, and then you'll see appointments populating automatically inside your calendar. And what that means is that you've created deal flow without having any competition. You don't have other people out there competing for the same company. So many of the businesses that we have bought have been through this means. So for example, the deal that we signed at Tech Tuesdays, that was through creating deal flow, through buying data, writing out to all of the companies. Sometimes it involves an email, LinkedIn contact, a phone call, or a physical letter, the 4 points of contact.
Do you ever just show up?
We haven't done it this way, but that does remind me of the old days when I owned businesses that I worked in. I would arrange for sales teams to go and just knock on the doors and provide quotations, offer quotations when I had these commercial cleaning businesses. But this is also a nice
Sometimes
idea.
that works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so unexpected, it gets people's attention in a way that an email doesn't.
I would say this would be very powerful, and I'll be honest, I've never thought about just turning up. So now you've maybe you've given me an idea.
So I don't know if you've noticed this. People are big on chat.
Yeah.
Okay, and they'll leave you on red, or they won't. You'll either won't get delivered, or they'll leave you on red for a while. Then they kind of respond in their own sweet time. There's 2 things I do. If there's a chat that they're not responding to, I'll do 1 ring on that number just to bring their attention. But if they're not responding, I call them up, and it's so weird. Now people feel that to call someone is confrontational. It makes them a little bit uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable about calling, and they're uncomfortable about being called. I kind of like it because I don't want to be ignored. It's like I'm busy. So I go right in there and showing up. There's nothing, I'm not saying, trespass into the property, but ring the doorbell. What's wrong? They don't want to talk to you. They won't talk to you, but you can be like, look, I'm trying to reach you. I got something cool. I'm not a salesman. I'm just asking. So
I think it's a good sales tactic.
Right? They can see your face.
Yeah, and if you're trying to sell something to somebody, they don't usually buy something on the first contact.
No, of course not. They have to get comfortable.
Have 3, 4, or 10 times to try and get a hold of the person to get the sale. And I like to read a lot of books and understand sales psychology, because I believe that everything in life is the result of a sale or a commission. And there's a nice book by Jordan Belfort, and he speaks about the straight line selling system and the 10 out of 10 certainty. So to Now, we speak about this with buying businesses, that the seller of the company, it needs to be a motivated seller that we deal with, somebody who's of genuine retirement age. It's just easier to do an acquisition where somebody who genuinely wants to sell the company, then we get a good deal that works for both. But we go through the straight line selling system to make sure that the seller is 10 out of 10 certain that he's ready to sell the business, and that involves multiple points of contact, just like you're saying.
Sure, makes sense. Okay, and again, for the full version, come to the seminar. Now, explain the no money down or LBO process. And how can that work if you're buying a business that has over $1 million a year profit?
Yeah, so the very first thing that a lot of people think about when you mention no money down is, it must be a distressed business. The business must be struggling. But that's far from the truth. We're looking at buying a company that's profitable and established, that stood the test of time and gone through the recession, preferably the 80s and 90s as well. Now, when it comes to the no money down, it's all about the structure of how you put the deal together. There's probably about 100 different ways to skin the cat, but to keep things very simple so that everybody can understand this, imagine that you're going to go out to the market and you're looking at buying a property. You're going to go to the bank and use the bricks and mortar as a collateral, and you're going to raise a loan against the value of the property that you buy. Okay, so like this villa here. Now, when it comes to buying a business, we don't buy a business unless it's a limited company. So when you buy a limited company, the company is an entity. The entity is like you. You have a credit rating with the banks. The company also has a credit rating. So we use a company that's got a clean credit rating that we can raise debt against the credibility of the company. And looking at the assets of the company as well, we would make sure that the assets are unencumbered so that we can raise finance against the assets in the company. Now, it could be asset loans, cash flow loans. We could have some investor capital and seller finance, meaning that usually 50% of the deals that we do will have an element of seller finance, which would involve 50% of the purchase price being deferred over 3, 4, or 5 years. Secured against the company. So if we don't pay, then they get the company back. And we raise a down payment of the company through like invoice financing, asset finance, cash flow loans, and any other types of loans that can be made available to us against the strength of the company's credit report.
Now let me ask you, I can understand this being operating capital, but this is before you own the company.
Yeah.
So there's a chicken and egg issue here to my amateur brain of using the assets or cash of the company to buy the company if you don't own the company.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
So this is why there's probably a bit of a roadblock inside the mind of the average entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs, where they think that this is unobtainable, because how can you raise debt against something that you don't already own?
Right.
So what happens is we go out to the finance companies and we get the sellers of the company to collaborate with the finance company. They are fully aware that we're about to do an LBO, a leveraged buyout. They would come in, value the assets of the company. They would transfer, after they do desktop valuations or come out physically to view the assets and view the company, they would pay whatever amount they're willing to lend against the strength of the assets or the share capital of the company. And then that money gets transferred into the escrow account or a solicitor client account with very strict instructions to say that if the sale doesn't conclude, and we don't conclude the share purchase agreement, that the money strictly doesn't get used for anything else and it gets sent back to the loan company. So the money doesn't get held in the company bank account. We don't receive the funds. They get held in escrow or the solicitor's client account until the day that we exchange the contracts. So there are...
I understand. That's great. I don't want to give you away all the magic, but you just kind of... You connected two neurons for me that makes sense. As a lawyer, I understand what you're saying, and now I'm like, oh, okay. I think you're right. There's a gap of imagination and vision and awareness, on myself included, and the thought that didn't naturally occur to me, but once you said it, I'm like, oh, you can do that, was getting the seller involved. That's a nice lateral move that I think not everyone thinks about. That's how in our amateur minds, the seller is like the standoffish person, but you're recruiting them as an ally, which is nice.
Absolutely, we bring them into the same team. Now, I'll give another nugget away that's going to help our viewers just think how to put these deals together. And instead of you raising the capital externally, what you can do is get the seller, like you say, to partner as an ally with you. And if they help you, if they help you make an entrance, you can help them make an exit. So quite often we've got sellers that want to collaborate and raise loans internally in the company, in the name of the company, so increasing the debt of the company. And usually by them doing it internally as opposed to us externally, they get access to much better finance terms and rates. So what happens is that we end up buying the company with new debt that's been raised from the seller that reduces the purchase price. So because the company's got more debt, it now reduces the purchase price of the company.
But the company has more cash.
The company will have cash when we buy it. We buy cash in the bank. So when we buy cash in the bank, we buy at a 10% discount, and we use the cash towards the down payment. So the company's money is not the seller's money, that's money that belongs to the company. So we buy the cash as an asset at a discount, then we use that towards the down payment to buy the company out.
Sounds like you've done this rodeo a couple times.
Yes, so the three guys that stood up at the table at Tech Tuesdays, they ended up with over $200,000 US in the bank account on the day that they took over the company.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so let's take a big step back. Ken Mack is a young man. What were you doing before you were doing this sort of thing? And then what was the transition point?
Okay, how far back would you like to go?
Mom and dad. No, just short version. What were you doing before?
Yeah, so before I acquired my first business, when I was in school, secondary school, I was working for a call center selling loans for Tesco's. So it's called Tesco Personal Finance. At the age of 15, Tesco's, they're like a big supermarket chain.
Okay.
So I was taking customers through, so I go after school to the call center, and I'd be taking customers through loan applications and processing, like credit scoring customers, and taking them through not commercial loans, but consumer loans up to £25,000. So I've got no idea how I managed to do this at 15, but we had scripts and everything was, once we had some training, it was easy to do. But I learned, I got a deep understanding of exactly how the credit scoring system worked, and what certain things customers would say that would influence the decision to get an acceptance, and all of the technical parts. So I was doing that whilst I was in school, living in central Scotland, and had a small cleaning business that I created myself. Worked in a tampon factory when I was 13.
Fun.
So that was very interesting because I didn't really know what a tampon was.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave that one, not pick it up. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And at the age of 20, I decided that I'd love to start a proper business, and I had no idea how to start a business. And I came up with the idea to buy a business because it made sense. And the only business that would make sense was a cleaning business, because I figured that if the staff didn't turn up, then I could come in and push them up. And
that's a scary idea.
It's a scary idea, right? But I thought, okay, the idea here is to buy a business to give myself an education so I can learn all of the mechanics of a business from the inside out. Whilst all of my friends were away to university and college, this was my education. So that's what I did. I went out and I bought myself my first business, and that changed everything for me. I almost felt that I was semi-retired because the money was coming in, everybody was doing the jobs, and everybody was very reliable, and I felt like an imposter. I thought maybe I should need to be doing something here, but it was
another belief that you have to probably have to deconstruct.
Yeah. It was so strange for me because I've been working all of my life, sacked from many jobs. Like, I figured that I was unemployable because I hated it. I knew I was a slave to the system, and I just felt very uncomfortable. I didn't see this as being my life forever. I just wanted to get more from life, which was more freedom to make choices, to go where I want, and to build the life that I wanted without all of these restrictions of having to ask a boss for permission to go on holiday for 28 days per year.
Yeah, and you said something else, a little nugget there. You said that people were reliable. And that's maybe another self-constraining belief I might have, or fear. How do you know they're reliable? How do you know they're reliable? How do you know that they're trustworthy? What lets you let go enough to permit that?
So you need to have a conviction that the staff are going to be reliable, like legacy staff. So The print manufacturing company that, by the way, today, it was 1 year ago today that we acquired that company, myself and Paul. So that was also a nice moment to share here in Dubai in this villa. We look for companies that have got staff that doesn't have what I call a revolving door to hell. So staff in, staff out. We're looking for staff that have been there for 5 years, 10 years. So the company with Paul that we acquired, a print manufacturing company, they've been there for 20 years, 15 years, one for 25 years. So we now have the conviction that they are fully sold to the company, that they're reliable and they ain't going to go away anytime soon. But also we need to have the belief that if anything did happen, that the resources would be there to be able to take action and bring somebody else in.
The internal resources or the resources of the company?
Resources of the company to have partnerships with recruitment agencies, etc. That they can go out and help us bring in new talent into the company. But we're not running these companies day to day. You know, we're not working in them or on them. We're working above them. And this was the whole reason for us buying a business. Of what we teach inside Triple Eight Club is that we're looking for businesses that we can work above, so we can buy our freedom back. We want to be able to have a business that operates autonomously with a management structure in place, with one point of contact in that company that all of the staff make their requests to, which are not us. We're not coming in there as the directors of the company or the CEOs. We're coming in as the shareholders and the owners, the corporate shareholders that own things. They've got the ultimate control over these entities, but they've got their own internal teams so that they work under our control. So we are setting the stage and have the ultimate say on what happens. But we have one point of contact, which would be a director, operations manager, or just that one person that all of the staff would report to. So staff on a day-to-day basis, they wouldn't contact me. A lot of them don't even know who I am. That's
just ideal.
It's ideal, yeah. And they just have this one person that they speak to. And a lot of entrepreneurs think that the top of the food chain is the CEO of the company, but this is far from the truth. This is an employee in the company. The top of the food chain is who really pulls the strings at the very top, who is the shareholder, the ultimate beneficial owner of the company.
Interesting. Now, one thing you mentioned on Tuesday as well was you've had your adventures in South or Southern America, I guess maybe including Central America, and you're also looking at the middle market here in the UAE. Walk me through that journey. You said something positive about Southern America, and you said something else that was like, it was time to move on and come here. So what was that path?
Yeah, so at the time, the partner that I had that I was doing deals with, he was South American, so that did make things a lot easier. He spoke Spanish. And we thought, let's look for a bit of adventure together. And he said, why don't we start buying businesses in South America? There's a big opportunity over here. And I didn't know any British guys that were out there putting these complex deal structures together. And it got us crazy.
That's very romantic.
Yeah,
you kind of fell in love with the vibe, right?
They made me feel
or the visual.
These guys in South America, man, made me feel like a king, like super welcome. Like it was weird. They put me on a pedestal when I went over there. Like super, super strange.
So how much of that was sincere and how much of that was like flattery to get a goal?
It just seemed to be the way that the culture was over there.
That's
like,
nice.
They were just nice people. But they kind of put, which made me feel a little bit strange, because I'm a normal guy, but you're kind of put me on this pedestal, which I did say to them, just speak to me like a normal guy, come on. But one of the deals that we were doing was it was a public company. This is how crazy it got. It was a public company in India that was owned by a Belgian company, which was then owned by a British company, which then had its manufacturing operation in Argentina. So I had lawyers in India, Belgium, the UK, an economist in Argentina, and a lawyer in Argentina, and then the two beneficial owners of the company, the shareholders, had their lawyers on the deal as well. So my deals ended up becoming super complex, and I thought, this is good fun, this is challenging, and we're putting these very crazy deals together that are between public companies and private companies with these intermediate companies. And it was just a lot of fun. But I decided I was going to completely simplify the way I was doing things, because obviously dealing with people, I call it in the jungle in the South America, the Wild West. This is not like doing deals in the UAE. It's not like
it's
doing
like the
deals.
Wild South.
The Wild South.
But it's let me jump in. It's funny you mention Argentina, because I've been there, and I'm not saying it's the most efficient place on the planet. They got their issues, but it is, dare I say, more classically European than, say, Peru.
Definitely.
So right,
They call it the Paris of South America.
Yeah, it's got that Italian, German, Latin flavor to it. So was it? Now again, I think they're still on mañana time, which is like tomorrow. But was working? If you were working just in that country, would the navigating of the system been super hard, or was it the fact that you were dealing with all these multinational craziness?
I just liked the multinational craziness. I wanted the challenge because I'd made a little bit of money by that time, and I just wanted to do something different. And the chap that was doing the deals with, we had a very special connection together, and I wanted to help him as well. Make some things happen. He was struggling, and he had the gift of speaking Spanish and the connections in Spain and South America. I said, let's just do some deals, bro, and.
Bro. Good bro, hermano.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
But of course, the Wild South, as you've referred to it as, is definitely that. Sometimes you just don't know what you're standing on, and things can, what's on paper might be very different than what's been, what the reality is inside the company. So
sure, but it's. Let me ask you. Sorry to interrupt, because I'm with you in this process. I've gone through it. That's true, but sometimes you get a discount. The market has a discount because of the unreliability and the untrustworthiness, to be blunt. Right? If you're in a highly regulated market where you can trust the accounting, you can trust the laws, the valuations can be higher because of that fact. So maybe in these difficult markets, in these non-standard markets, there's opportunity if you know how to maneuver the system. Maybe the question is it worth it? Or how do you do that?
That's why we went, was to exploit the opportunity, because who thinks about going to Argentina and South America and Paraguay and Brazil and all of these other nice countries to buy businesses?
Sounds epic.
They were very welcoming of us over there. And the brokers were bringing us all these deals in Brazil, and they were super excited.
They were.
Yeah. They got us in the national media. This English group had come in because we were a British public company at the time. This British group have come in to start acquiring businesses.
And as a Scotsman,
in South
how did
America.
you feel about that?
A little bit strange.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a bit out of place, right? And it was when I was in Spain, for example, buying the businesses there. They put me on Spanish radio about the football club. I get picked up. Okay, you need to speak here, and this media channel, this radio channel. I had to kind of pretend that I knew something about football. I knew nothing about football. I hate football, and we'd bought this football club.
Really?
I felt completely out of place, and I'm sitting there taking notes. And okay, so what players have we got on there? Francis Gento.
Okay. I could go for hours and hours, but we're going to be capped at hours. So, what made you exit from that environment?
Which one?
What made you exit from the Southern Hemisphere, South America?
I would say that I had my glass of Prosecco with buying businesses in that environment, because there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of things that didn't quite seem as they should have been. A lot of challenges, a different mentality over there compared to the mentality in the USA, in the UK,
Sure.
Australia and Canada. So for me, it was just so much easier to do deals in the USA, UK, Australia and Canada. I've had my fun over there. I've made my money over there. And
you had your taste of fame.
I had my taste of fame in the newspapers and all of this fun stuff.
You had your tacos and empanadas. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And but would I go and do it again? Yeah, it depends, but I'm not going to rush anytime soon.
Okay, now here you are though, coming to. I wouldn't say that Dubai is the Wild East. It certainly has modernity. You can see it when you go, in the Dubai International Financial Center. They're high tech and they're worldly, but I'm not sure their accounting and management standards are UK or US style. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, absolutely. They're not as halal as the UK and USA, and that
Funny
is
use of the word right there, because we're in a Muslim country.
Absolutely.
Of course, the UK is a Muslim country, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So it doesn't give me 100% confidence. It would put me on my guard. So I would say I've got 50% confidence that the balance sheet, the profit and loss statement, is what you say it is, but I would like to dig deeper and put a forensic analyst, a forensic accountant onto the company to analyse all of the inputs and the outputs, and put a watcher in there to monitor everything coming in and out, so that I can fully understand and be a 10 out of 10 certain that what you've got in this balance sheet of the company is exactly what's coming in and out of this company.
So one comment and one question. The comment is, now that they have that 9% corporate tax, probably the accounting records are going to get more reliable, because it's not just, if they misrepresent or make a mistake, air quotes, with you as a buyer, that's one thing. But if they misrepresent or make a mistake, and again with air quotes, with the federal taxing authority, there's all kinds of consequences. So if you're looking for prior, it's not so many of them yet, but if you're looking at prior year tax returns, maybe that kind of is more reliable than it used to be, which is better accounting. So that's maybe a good thing.
Yeah, so in Dubai, there was not any real requirement before to have any obligation to do audited accounts and file your accounts. You would just have your company, your money's coming in and out, and that's fine. There's nothing to file. So yeah, we get the 9% corporation tax. However, in Dubai, the threshold for the 9% is 3 million dirhams. So what is 700,000 US dollars, something like this. So that's quite a lot of money.
Oh, and gross receipts, right?
Money into the company.
And your minimum is
a
£1 million or dollars profit.
So absolutely, we could still buy a business that's sub 3 mil, but we buy businesses that are usually more than 1.3, 1.4 million US, right?
But net, correct?
Revenue, money into the total money in, not profit, but money into
gross.
The company.
Okay, I didn't understand that. Okay.
So, with that in mind, speaking about the FTA here in Dubai, now, because of the accounting requirements that for the businesses that are producing more than 3 million dirhams in revenue with the 9%, this, which I'm very happy about, is definitely going to make things more halal and more compliant, and people doing things the way that they should be, because now everything has to go through the FTA. Everything has to go through an accountant. And the last thing that you want to do is to make any false representations in paper and then file that with the FTA, right? So that now gives me way more certainty as a business buyer, and opens up my interest as a professional business buyer to come to Dubai and say, wow, now we've got this new compliance and regulation that makes me feel way more relaxed about coming in.
Sure.
Not obviously right now, because we've just done the first filing, but certainly in the next 2 to 3 years, once we can see these 3 years filed audited accounts with the FTA, showing exactly what the incomes were, the tax declared, and how much is in and out of the company, because now it's on the compliance.
For sure. And at least now this year, since this is the first year you have to file, you have something to work with.
Yeah.
Which is better than nothing.
Yeah, we've got something.
I just filed.
Yeah, so we've got something, but before there was nothing. And before it could be whatever they want to make it look. Normally we...
Sorry, to be clear, I'm not saying it's perfect, but their obligation to file and to file truthfully has already occurred in the past. So at least you have a data point, whereas before you had nothing reliable.
So what we want to do is look at the last 5 years.
Yes.
So this is what I mean by, once we're in year 3 or 4 of this filing with the FTA here in Dubai, it's going to open up a lot more professional business buyers coming in, having a lot more certainty about what they're actually buying. Because we look at the average revenue and the average net profit of the company over the last 5 years. Because what a lot of buyers or sellers do is they prep the company for sale and they make it look amazing on the last 12 months of accounts that they file. And then they base the multiple that they sell the business off of the last 12 months. So we come in and we do an average over 5 years to mitigate that risk.
Interesting. Of course, you're here now. So if you're doing your forensic accounting, you're doing your due diligence, you're doing everything good, and you kind of get in now, in that 3 to 5 years, once everyone else shows up, you'll be in a wonderful position because you'll be an early pioneer. You may have snatched up the gyms.
Yes. So
God willing.
As an entrepreneur, right, we've got to take risks. You know, there's no point waiting for Bitcoin, for example, to reach $1 million. We all know that that's going to happen. So, as an early adopter, you know, whatever price you bought Bitcoin at, you know, whatever price you buy Bitcoin at is the price you deserve. Just like buying a business.
Nice. Okay, good answer.
You need to take a bit of risk, like you say, and commence. Like we know that in 5 years' time, it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be more easier to analyze a business, but you know, just identifying the gems and taking that risk now, and doing the extra accounting and due diligence. Like the opportunity in Dubai is right, or just the UAE is right now.
I love it. So, what's your? Give me some enthusiastic vision of what you're doing with your mastermind group, what you're doing here. Paint the next couple of years. Get us all jazzed up. What's possible for us?
You know, what's possible for anybody is that anybody can do what we were doing here at this mastermind in Dubai. This is the very first one that we've hosted, and so far it's gone very well. We are going to be rolling out masterminds more in the future. We're setting the stage now. They might not all be in Dubai, right? But
yes, they will. We're going to make that happen.
When
this recording is over, I'm going to figure out how we're going to work with him and pump him in Dubai.
I love that. But like,
I'm jazzed up. I want to be part of this.
This is the craziest country in the world. Like, there's nowhere on the planet like Dubai, and this is why we came here and decided to make our very first debut here in the UAE on the best address, best part of the world here on the Palm. Because it's like mega inspiration here. Like, it just shows you that anything is possible. And you know, when you're in the room with Tech Tuesdays, there's always somebody bigger in that room. So one of your guests came over to me, and his company's doing 100 million dirhams per month in revenue. And this is
you have to point out the guest to me.
This is crazy. These guys have got multiple businesses, but there's somebody big in the room, then there's always somebody bigger. And the opportunities here are exponential.
Yeah.
So like, there's no reason why this can't be held in Dubai, you know, 2, 3, 4 times per year.
I love it. And I'd love to have our community support what you're doing. I think they would benefit from what you're doing and learning from you. And, you know, I thought you were very engaging on stage. You know, normally we give 5-10 minutes max to people. I think you were at 15 or 20, but I had questions. I wanted to know more.
I think it was more like 30 or 40.
Yeah, I was being nice. And actually, you know, one of my friends is like, you know, you need to cut it other speakers. I'm like, no. I want to know what he's saying. I'm curious because you never know, you know, where knowledge comes from. You know, I don't think knowledge is scarce, but you know, you're right there. And I engaged the audience, and people were engaged.
I'm surprised.
I wasn't surprised, but look, I'm not surprised. I had you speak for a reason. I know your personality, but it was a good confirmation of that you have something that's valuable. And I was happy the audience was, you know, the right kind of audience to understand it and get it. And I'm glad you articulated it so well. I'm glad you had your community there. No, just, you know, you weren't solo, but you had your exemplars of the success with you, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone else. It was an impressive deal.
It was a nice moment to be able to, you know, have the community here with, you know, multiple people on that table that were a mirror image of exactly what I've been teaching, that have bought life-changing businesses without any of their own money down, that have literally bought the dream. And
I mean, they're retired and they're young.
Yeah,
like 30s mostly, right?
Literally what I'm teaching. You buy the business, you're semi-retired. And these guys are the perfect example. Then you sell the company, then you're retired. You can retire within 5 years. So like, to be able to have these examples at Tech Tuesdays and, you know, show everybody what was possible with real people, I think was very special.
Man, God bless you. Ken, you're awesome.
Love you, man.
You're great. You're an inspiration. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ken Mack. We'll post this on YouTube. We'll share it in, of course, the Tech Tuesdays group and put it everywhere. We'll also put on contact information about how you can reach Ken and get involved. I haven't joined the group myself, but I think I will now. Talk to him, get to know him, but I think it's worth looking into. And if you have your own internal constraints that kind of make you wonder about this, me too. You know, I'm naturally conservative. I'm a lawyer, got a family, everything else. But I'm hearing very good, consistent, coherent answers. So I just think he's fantastic. So thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for having me on the show. It's an honour to be sitting here with you today to do this beautiful podcast and to have me on stage at Tech Tuesdays. And I'm excited to speak about what we can do together here in Dubai going forward into the future.
Yes, and let's enjoy some catering.
Amazing.
Cool. Very nice.